Hello, happy Thursday. Welcome on into Let's Bet at Lawrence Bar here with Jared Smith, Mark Zinno. Zinno's wearing a beautiful yellow colored t-shirt on this Thursday just to brighten up our day, even though he thinks
it's not yellow or a t-shirt. It's not yellow or a t-shirt.
Polo. And it's definitely, this is like, do you guys remember a couple years ago when there was that, like, is this dress black and blue, or is it white and gold?
Blue or yellow, whatever it was,
Your
yeah.
shirt
I always
is
saw blue.
1,000% yellow. 1,000%. Jared?
It's not. It's not. It's orange. I can confirm that.
Check your text messages. I sent you a picture.
You did send me a picture. And it definitely does look orange in that photo, but it's definitely yellow in person.
Okay. Just call me Big Bird today then. Fine. I'll deal with it.
Oh, we're starting hot today on the show. Everyone's in a sassy mood. Lauren, is that because the Avs had one of the worst losses in, like, maybe their playoff history last night? Is that why you're in a little bit of a
Can we just talk about a couple of the futures bets that I have? I had the series going 5 games, and I had the Avs winning the series 4-1. And I just saw that slip out of my hand and freaking fall onto the floor. And basically, I'm sitting here on my couch by myself last night, and it felt like someone came out of left field and sucker punched me right in the face. That's how I feel. So
I get
Welcome to gambling.
The Avs still have the series.
Welcome to gambling.
Fine.
Oh man,
it took a second to fall asleep last night. Let me just.
You can't really relate what it's like to be kicked in the nuts, but that's what it feels like.
That is what it feels like. That is exactly what it feels like. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've all been there. I don't think it's actually.
I've actually never been kicked in the nuts before, but you know.
No, well, we've all been there, meaning the bad beats. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a little sadistic, but when you're gambling with someone new, like that, you're like gambling with them for the first time, or like they're gambling and they're very early on, and they get one of those just horrific bad beats that is completely inevitable if you gamble long enough. I kind of enjoy watching them react to that first time and see how they handle the adversity.
I've had a bad beat before.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. I'm saying in general. Oh, yeah. Well, that was like every game. I'm not saying you. You've been down the road a million times. I'm saying when you're gambling with someone who has literally like never gambled before. Like, hey, it's the first time I'm betting on a game. And, like, you see the money just get removed from their hands at the last possible second. It is kind of interesting to see how people react to that.
The series, the 5-game series, I bet that at, like, plus 275 and the Avs winning and winning 4-1. I bet that at plus 230. It was going to be a nice little payday.
It's a tough
So it's okay. It's okay. The Avs are going to come back. They're going to win
short
series.
order, Lauren is not buying lunch for us today.
No, no. Neither am I. I had a big bet on the Avs series bet too, minus 1.5 games. And I luckily get one more crack at it on Friday, but I was already spending that money. That money was already in my mind, spent on items and food. And
you know what?
Alcohol.
We got 2 more big games today, and we're going to break those down. But first, we're going to start off with our Better Up segment, talk a little MLB. Then we're going to talk about the NBA Morning Radar, because that game that we watched last night was absolute defensive trash. You know what I mean? The St. Louis Blues at this point are greater than the Blues that are in the NBA. So they need to figure that out. Then we have our NHL Ice Picks, and we can't end without our Pickswise 3-star play of the day and our best bets of the day. So, my friends, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's bet it. YRFIs and NRFIs in MLB. Yesterday, the NRFIs, no runs first inning, went 8-5. Yesterday, or I guess the whole season, the NRFIs are 328 and 326 on the season. It still amazes me that at this point, this many games in, we're still at about 50%, which is crazy. This is the 3rd straight day this has crossed 50% on each side. Streaks to look out for. And I'm looking at Jared and Zinno's bets for tonight. I don't know if you have any of these teams, but Philadelphia, they have 5 straight no-run first innings. Tampa Bay, the Rays, 4 straight yes-run first innings, and they've scored in all 4. Baltimore hasn't scored a run in the first inning since May 8th. That's 18 games. Yikes. That's a hell of a lot of games, guys. A lot of games. So looking at these bets, Jared, I'll come to you first. What YRFIs and NRFIs do you have heading into tonight?
Yeah, I have one NRFI on my card. You're right. It is remarkable how we've seen this cross the line of demarcation at 50% three straight days. Only a true asshole tracks all 2,432 games. That's me. I'm that asshole. And we'll keep telling you exactly how insane it is that these have been literally 50-50 propositions throughout the entire season. It really is remarkable. All right. Both Mark and I have the same NRFI on the card today, so I'll start and I'll set them up and Zino can knock it down. But this felt like an easy one today, easy pickings with Cleveland and Detroit. Skuball's on the mound. He hasn't walked the batter in the first inning all year. We talked about this yesterday. When I'm going through my process for NRFIs, one of the things that will immediately get me off of a game is a walk rate above 10% in the first inning for a pitcher. That tells me that he's a pitcher that struggles with command early in games, and those are pitchers we stay away from with NRFIs. Tariq Skubal is not one of those guys. We talked about Detroit. Their offense really struggles, but Baltimore is one of those teams. Detroit's the other one. So Baltimore scored 3 times in the first inning all season. Detroit's only scored 4 times, which is just over 9%. The major league average is right around 28%. So Detroit is well below that. And Connor Pilkington, we don't know much about this guy, Mark. Maybe you know a little bit more about him. He's making his second career start. Didn't fare so well in his first start, but that was against the Blue Jays. That is not the lineup he is going to face tonight with the Tigers.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's going to get through a clean first inning, and then I think Skubal is going to do his business on the other end. So I feel good. I laid 25 cents at Bet365. I feel like I'm willing to lay that price because of the circumstances in this game.
Normally, I'm not. This is across my threshold of what I'm willing to pay on any NRFI or YRFI at minus 130, which is where I got it at FanDuel. But what you said sort of leave it. Look, I'm not worried about Detroit. This is one-sided. I'm not worried about Detroit scoring. This is very one-sided. I'm worried about Cleveland being able to score here off a pitcher that does not have a ton of experience. But it's not his full start. So he's, you kind of take that out of play. But Cleveland has been bad on the road this year. They strike out 3 more times per game on the road than they do at home. That is, and they are top 5 in K rate in Major League Baseball. So it's telling that they struggle that much more offensively on the road. And that's really what kind of was the clincher for me, that I was willing to roll the dice here and cross the threshold. Normally, again, I don't go past minus 120. I don't pay more than 20 cents. I just have stuck to that, and it's worked for me. But given the spot here and how bad Detroit is offensively, and Cleveland, where they are on the road against a good pitcher, to me, makes it feel like this is a good spot to break my own rule here.
Yeah, and speaking of Skubal, Jared, you're on his strikeout prop for tonight as well.
No, I think that might be
that's
Mark.
me. That's me.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, I'm using my phone, you guys. My computer is broken still, so I have to look at the Google sheet on this little phone.
This is why This is why she's having a rough day. This is why it's been a little bit of sassy Jabara today.
I'm sassy J today.
It's Sassy J. Sassy J Bar in the house. Tariq Skubal. So here's the thing. I saw this originally at 4.5, and you were paying minus 140 or whatever it was to go over. And given how much I saw that Cleveland, look, they strike out 5.8 times per game at home and 8.5 times per game on the road. Skubal is a good strikeout pitcher. He has not struggled to get Ks this year at all. And when I saw that differential, I just went up 1 to 5.5 and found it at plus money, and that's where I'm going to roll. So over 5.5 at plus 115, plus 116, whatever it is in that range, is where I'm going to go with Skubal here and over on his K prop.
Yeah. Jared, you have a couple strikeout props.
I do. The only thing, and I looked at Skubal's strikeout prop today too, because I agree with Mark. His Ks per 9, especially late. He had an 11 strikeout game against Baltimore 2 weeks ago. Yeah. But I don't like betting over strikeout props when the pitcher's making his second consecutive start against the same team. And that actually does scare me a little bit with the NRFI, but I'm less concerned about the NRFI than I am just Cleveland making the right adjustment, and maybe that strikeout number is 1 less than it would normally be because he just faced them. He had 5 and 5 scoreless against them back on May 20th. But I agree with Zino. Skubal is a guy that when you look at the Tigers rotation, and Lauren, I know you've spent a lot of time watching the Tigers, and especially these young pitchers. He is a guy that has a lot of All right, I have 1 over 1 under on my K prop card tonight. I'll start with the bad. We'll start with the under. And I feel like I faded Dallas Keuchel a bunch this season, but this is a really good spot to fade him. So I actually, I was drinking my coffee this morning while doing the morning research, and when I pulled up Keuchel's Baseball Savant page, I actually did like a spit take. He's in the first percentile of strikeout rate this season. You can't get any lower than that. Seriously, first one. You can't get. There's no 0 percentile in baseball. You have to be 1 if you're on the board and you've pitched in a game. So he's literally the worst strikeout pitcher in baseball, especially as a starter. His fastball velocity also is in the first percentile. He's like 4th percentile in whiff rate. I mean, his stuff has just deteriorated rapidly. Father Time, of course, undefeated. He's been around the block a long time. And this is a Boston lineup that's facing tonight that is average K rate against lefties. But over the last week, if you've been watching baseball, the Red Sox have put up some whopper offensive numbers. They actually lead the majors in WRC plus over the last week. So I feel like this is a good spot to go under 3.5 on Keuchel. We're going to go over 3.5 on Hyunjin Ryu. And I am fascinated to watch this game tonight. So first things first, the narrative. It's Ryu, who's from Korea, against Ohtani from Japan. And anytime you get Japan, these big star names from overseas that pitch against each other, it is a big game, and I think both pitchers are going to be a little more amped up to face kind of their brethren there. But we're going to go over 3.5 on Ryu. So this is an interesting spot. I think to me the buy low on a guy that was hurt earlier in the year, had 2 starts, got lit up, came back from the IL, and he's been really good since coming back in his 2 starts. 1 earned run in just 10 2/3 innings. And even his manager, Charlie Montoya, said he's, quote, back to himself after his last start against the Reds, which was 6 scoreless and just 3 strikeouts, which does concern me, but only 78 pitches. So I think his pitch count now is going to get a little extended into the 80s, maybe touch 90. And I feel like this Angels lineup, which is, I think, 7th in strikeout rate against lefties this season. 9 out of 12 lefties have gone over 3.5 Ks against them in starts this year. So 3.5 with Ryu, who's an ace quality pitcher, it feels like a low number, and we're just buying low because of his struggles and his injury. So that's the strikeout props tonight. Over 3.5 for you, under 3.5 Keuchel.
It's not a lot of 3.5. Zeno, you're betting a lot of over 5.5 strikeout props. You talked about Scooble, but tell me a little bit more about Kyle Wright.
Yeah, Kyle Wright going up against the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'm getting plus money on over 5.5 at plus 114. He's gone to at least 6 strikeouts in 6 of his 8 starts this year. He's been the best pitcher on the Braves staff statistically this season. Philadelphia has the 8th highest K rate in Major League Baseball, and they have done a ton of striking out in this series as they wrap up the 4-game series tonight at Truist Park. So Kyle Wright going to take advantage of a Phillies lineup that's striking out way too much. I also do have one more YRFI to throw in there.
Let's hear about
the Dodgers against Arizona. The Dodgers are the number 2 team in Major League Baseball in first inning run scored percentage. So they're going to do their part, but they're facing Humberto Castellanos, whose last 5 starts have been twice against the Cubs, twice against Miami, once against St. Louis. St. Louis, one of the higher scoring first inning percentage team. Cubs in the top 10 in first inning percentage scored. He's been touched up in 3 of those 5 starts in the first inning here. Dodgers going to do some heavy lifting and hopefully go yard early in the first inning here. But it's a number right at my threshold at minus 122, but it's comfortable enough for me to back the Dodgers against Castellanos.
Let's go Bravos. Let's go Yard. Let's go
Warriors.
Why not? I am on one baseball bet today. None of the strikeout props really spoke to me. And honestly, I've been spending so much time on hockey recently. But I like the Brewers taking on the Cardinals, the Brewers money line at plus 108. So Eric Lauer, he's been a guy that came into this season. People didn't really have many expectations for him. But he's shown this season that he has great stuff. 7 starts. I wrote down these numbers. 7 starts, 32.9% K rate, 28% K to walk ratio. I typed in ration in my computer, but you know what I mean. 28% K to walk ratio. His velocity went up 1.3 miles per hour, and that's made a difference with a lot of his pitches this year. He's located his fastball in the zone. Then you look at who's on the other side, Adam Wainwright, 2.87 ERA. He has been really good this season too, but he has a lot. He has only a 14.5 at this point expected strikeout rate. You can kind of tell that the age is getting to him a little bit. And the Brewers started the season slow, but they've been great recently. They're 7th right now in WRC+, 4th highest in WOBA versus righties this season. And Josh Hader, he might still be unavailable right now, but the Brewers bullpen is the 3rd lowest expected FIP in baseball. The Cardinals rank in the bottom 5. And you look at the Brewers, they've shown a variety of relievers. They can overachieve expectations, get it done all season. For me, they have the pitching advantage in this game, and getting them at plus money, Milwaukee money line. Lock it in. Plus 108, baby. Let's go. Do we feel good about it?
I do. I looked at Lauer this morning. So funny thing about Eric. I did. Eric's a quirky guy. So he calls his fastball his Zoom ball. I don't know. And he calls his curveball his spin ball. Like the pitches aren't very like they're not different than a normal fastball, and I think he calls his cutter his rise. Like he's one of those guys that like has a name for everything, but he's had a really great start to the year. I actually looked at the YRFI in that game because it was plus money, and I look at every YRFI that's plus money because that's my job. But I just didn't. I didn't feel. I agree with you. I think Lauer's a star. Lauer's a star.
Yeah.
I Eric.
Okay. Let's get into some NBA because I have some things to say about this Heat Celtics series. The Celtics are now up 3-2, but this Eastern Conference final has been so unpredictable. It's turned into a giant sloppy Joe fest at this point. Brutal defensive basketball, one game after another. There was only one close game. I mean, you look at Miami's backcourt, Kyle Lowry, Max Strus, missed all 15 shots last night, and they scored 4 collective points together. Oof, that's not good. The Celtics, I feel like they can put this series away. They're going back home for Game 6 on Friday in Boston. But at this point, I just think it might be time to analyze the Warriors-Celtics matchup because the Heat are not hot right now. Zeno, just your thoughts on this series and the game last night, because that might have been one of the worst halves of basketball, the first half that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay. If you follow me on the Pickswise website, when I wrote for this game last night, I kind of detailed exactly how this game was going to go. I don't think there's as much variance as you think, Lauren, when you start to peel back the layers. Look, Miami has only outscored Boston in 3 quarters of this entire series. And one of them was in Game 4 when the game was out of hand and Boston didn't care and they were already going to win the thing. The other 2 quarters were in Game 1 and in Game 3, the other 2 games that Miami won. Yeah. And it was the difference in the entire series. That's it. Boston has had 2 bad quarters. They are a much better team than Miami. They are a much deeper team. They're a healthier team at this point in time. And I think Boston has been in control for 90% of this series. And I knew that going into the game last night because I knew Boston was going to be a public bet and they were almost daring you to take them with such a short number. But I didn't want to let that affect what my eyes have shown me this entire series, that Boston has outplayed them. Miami's biggest problem, you guys know who the number 1 3-point shooting team was during the regular season in the NBA? I'll tell you, it was the Miami Heat. Do you know what they're shooting from 3 in this postseason? Like less than 30%. It has been their Achilles heel. It has killed them this entire series. They cannot buy a 3 from anybody, and it's why they're getting smoked by Boston inside and out. This thing is over. Boston's going to bury them. I don't know what the number is. I haven't even looked at it, to be honest with you. But I don't think that if it's under like 6, I'm jumping all over Boston.
It's not. It's a big number.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's 9.
8 or 9? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
9.
9. Yeah.
It's 9.
It's a little bit more difficult in that spot, but it's not going to surprise me to see the Celtics cover that number.
Like, honestly, though, this series, like, I was so looking forward to the series, and it has lived not up to any expectations that I've had whatsoever. It just hasn't been good basketball, Jared.
Well, that sounds like the NBA in general.
It sounds like what the entire NBA postseason has been, frankly. And the juxtaposition of switching back and forth last night between the Avs-Blues game and the Celtics-Heat game. And I feel like that's been every night.
The Avs-Blues was by far the more exciting game to watch in all
100%. And you could say that for most nights when most of us, that do this every night, we switch back and forth. We have multiple screens. We're watching multiple games at the same time. it's really tough to watch the NBA playoffs. It's really a tough watch. Usually the blowout is severe on one side or the other. And if you're on the right side of the blowout, you're going to win your bets. If you're on the wrong side of the blowout, you might as well just shut off the TV and put on the Real Housewives or whatever else is your guilty pleasure when you're not watching sports, because there ain't
You're
much
watching Real
drama.
Housewives, Jared, or what? Are you watching Real Housewives?
Guilty.
What is wrong with both of you? What?
Only New Jersey, though. I've given up on the rest of them. I watched New Jersey Housewives and Vanderpump Rules.
I've never watched Real Housewives, but I do watch a lot of like Bravo. I do have Bravo on a decent amount.
It's quality programming, not gonna lie. Bravo is underrated programming for me. I mean, it's not targeted
at good movies. They have good movies. I watch a lot of movies on Bravo. So
I mean,
now that we're
I would have been on.
All of those things have been more entertaining than the NBA playoffs.
Seriously though, I know I need honestly, everyone in the chat, give me good television shows, because at this point I'm like so sports oriented. I need to like break.
Are you not going to be part of Buckhead Shore? Are you? Did they not ask you to be part of Buckhead
television shows?
Oh,
I don't. I literally watch sports 24/7.
How about this? I have a good idea for you. I have a show that I think you're going to like, and there's a new season coming out soon, so then you can get into the old seasons and then right into the new one.
What is it?
Stranger Things. Incredible.
I've seen Stranger Things. But that was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't 10 years ago. It was like recently. Like the last season came out, I think, in 2020 or 2021. It came out like during the pandemic.
Like that alien stuff is like, it's just weird to me. I don't know. I can't get into it.
All right. Fair enough. I tried, Mark. I tried and failed.
Yeah.
Lauren, look, just do what normal people do. Go start watching Vanderpump Rules from the beginning and enjoy every
Vanderpump Rules is pretty good. I don't like reality TV, but I've watched some of those episodes, and
I've watched every single one of them. I don't know a single one.
Entertained. I'm more entertained than I was last night. Let's just leave it at that.
Vanderpump Rules. You want to know who else rules? The Warriors in this series, because I think they're going to close it out tonight and make it to the NBA Finals. Zeno, you are on 2 bets for this game. Jared, you are on no bets for this game. I have 2 props for this game. So, Zeno, I'll let you go first. Go through your slate, and I'll go through mine.
Well, you can read about all this on the Pickswise website here. I'm going to back Dallas getting the 7.5.
Quick plug. Quick plug.
Well,
plug it.
Listen,
plug away.
I mean, I can give you a much longer detailed explanation on our Pickswise.com website. But look, I back Dallas just simply because they're clearly going to be the more motivated team. They're going to be fighting for their lives. At least Luka figured out a little bit of how to distribute the ball a little bit better in Game 4. I think the Golden State Warriors close this out tonight. I just think it's going to end up being a closer game. I mean, there's a sense that Golden State feels like they can probably sleepwalk through the first half of this game and then just come back and win it in the second half, which is probably what my guess. I like Dallas in the first half, too, getting points. I mean, it's not going to surprise me at all if Dallas has a lead at the end of this thing. And if Dallas has a lead at any point in this game, that means the under is coming in. The only way this is one of those games where if the under doesn't go Dallas's way in the first quarter, and they don't win the first quarter, guess what? They're going to get their doors blown off. And it's all bets are off at that point in time, literally, because they're never going to get back in it. Once Golden State takes a sizable enough lead on them, there's no turning back. But I don't think Dallas lets that happen tonight. So Warriors win, Mavs cover.
Warriors win, Mavs cover. And I think that Luka's going to have the game of his life, which is why I am on Luka over 34.5 points at -110. This line is so high, you guys. But it says a lot about Luka and his play. He's averaging, so he's played in his career in 5 elimination games in the playoffs. During those 5 elimination games, he's averaged 36.6 points through game. It's the highest average in such games in NBA history. And I think it's only brought down once because one of the games, was it against the Clippers or something? He only had like 30 points. So that brought his average down. The other games, he's been like 40-plus points, basically. When the lights get brighter, he shoulders a lot of that load. He popped off for 40 points in both elimination games. Oh, it was against the Clippers, both elimination games against the Clippers. But I think this prop for me is more about Dallas's team offense failing and Luka being like, hold on, guys, I got this. I got this for you. I'm just counting on him to activate his X Games mode and do it by himself. I think it's the surest bet for me, like since Luka shows up in big moments. So over 34.5 points, you're only laying 10 cents for it. Luka's going to pop off, but the Warriors are still going to win. Speaking of the Warriors, Steph Curry, I like over 33.5 points and assists. You're laying 20 cents for it on FanDuel. He has this weird cold streak going on right now from the free throw line, but he's been incredible for the most part during the postseason. He's wild in his shooting from outside right now. He's shooting 47.1%. That's almost 50% from three. But for me, it's his ability to penetrate, create for his teammates on the inside, and Dallas has had a really, really hard time slowing that down. At this point, you look at his stats, he has 125.4 points per 100 possessions right now. That's even like, it just shows I think it's like 3 points higher than his regular season average, and it just shows that he's playing even better against some of the best defenses in the NBA right now. Also, the Mavs are one of the worst teams in terms of deflections. They have 10.9 deflections per game, meaning Steph Curry can have more passing lanes open for him to score and create for his teammates. He's averaging 26 points and 7 assists right now in the conference finals, and Mavs don't really have anything else to throw at him at this point. So I like Steph Curry over 33.5 points and assists, laying 20 cents for it. And Luka, my boy Luka Doncic, over 34.5 points and minus 110. I got both of those on FanDuel. But I have a feeling Luka's going to pop off. The Warriors are still going to win, and I think we're going to get a Warriors-Celtics final coming at us to a screen near you sometime extremely soon. So we'll see what happens in this one. From the court to the ice. I'm just like, you guys, that game killed me yesterday. I woke up this morning extremely sad, and I know the Avs are fine. I think they're going to go in and get things done. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to digest that, because when you're up 3-0 in a game, how do you lose? How do you lose in overtime? And honestly, as soon as the Blues scored that goal with 58 seconds left in the game, the Avs are 58 seconds away from making the conference final after the last 3 years of being eliminated in the second round, 2 times in Game 7, 1 time in Game 6. And they gave it up. And I just knew going into overtime, I'm like, this ain't it. I don't have a good feeling about this. I knew the Blues are going to score. They scored, but you know what? We're moving on to Game 6 in St. Louis, and I think the Avs are going to get it done. Jared, just your thoughts on that game as a whole.
I lost a lot of money on my Avs series bet. Now, it's not lost money. It's still sitting in the account because it's minus 1.5 games. It can still hit on Friday night. But I'll be honest, I don't like how that game ended, and I would not be surprised if St. Louis won Game 6. And I think depending on where that price is, the price out already? I haven't looked yet.
I'll look right now.
Yeah, at plus 142. I mean, that feels like the lowest price of the series for them at home. If I recall, their Game 3 and 4 prices were north of plus 150, and that's kind of how we're getting to the conclusion of this Rangers Kane series, is the prices are shortening on the dogs as the series goes on. I hope that the Avs win on Friday night. I will be rooting for them. I will not be betting the game. And if I do bet the game, it'll just be off of St. Louis. Because that's a little disturbing. Where do you think the psyche is? I mean, you're the team reporter. What's the psyche of a team after they blow it?
They're okay. You even heard from Nathan McKinnon and Gabe Landeskog after the game. They're like, look, we lost. That sucked. But you know what? There's still 2 games left that we can clinch the series, and we have to go into St. Louis to take care of our job. They seemed very calm, cool, collected. Darcy Kemper didn't necessarily have the best game, to be honest with you. Nathan McKinnon couldn't have done more. He had a hat trick.
I'll say this. When we get to the Oilers game tonight, I have an interesting angle, but I mean, if we think that the Avs are a little vulnerable now, a little more vulnerable than they were a few nights ago, maybe we should be betting Connor McDavid to win the Conn Smythe.
Possibly. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's take it to this Rangers-Hurricanes game tonight. Zeno, I want to get your take on it because you're going back to the bread and butter, first period unders and overs. Zeno's period, baby.
No, I've had enough of screwing up these. Exactly that time of the month. It's that time of the month because I keep getting NHL bets wrong. So I'm done trying to figure out ways to make money on the NHL when I should have just stuck with the way that's made me money on the NHL all year long in first period overs and unders. So let's look at this Rangers-Carolina series here. The first 3 games of the series all stayed under in the first period. The fourth one went over because the Rangers scored 2 goals. They were on home ice. They had a lot of motivation. They had a crowd backing them.
Yeah.
When they turn this thing back to Carolina here for Game 5, I'm taking the under. It's a little juicier than what I want to play, but still, Carolina is not scoring a ton at all in this series, and they're certainly not scoring early. And I think the goaltending has to show up. If you get this burst of an over game, I'd be surprised. It's just not the way the series has gone, right? Both of these teams have checked each other very well on the offensive end, and the goaltending has been exactly what we would have expected, although Antti Raanta has probably been a little bit better than we would have expected, all things considered, since he's not like the number one guy there. But all of that aside, the Rangers offense won't be as crisp, not on home ice when they take on Carolina here. So give me the first period under 1.5.
Jared, I know we're on the same bet for this game. Mine's actually my play of the day, so I'll let you talk about it, and I'm going to save some of my points for my best bet of the day. So tell me why.
It is my
you like the
play of the
Rangers
day.
to break the home streak. Because at this point, every single team has won every single home game so far this series.
It is, and it is also my play of the day, so I won't get too crazy. But you know what? It's okay. Like, I mean, we're all on the Rangers tonight.
Just save it. Do it later.
All right, fine.
Yeah, we'll save it. Well, the one thing I will say
bet.
about this game, I have another bet on this game, and it's the under 5.5. The under is hitting all of the first game of all of the games so far this series. For me, it's been the goaltending. Like, Antti Raanta has a .931 save percentage and a 2.09 goals against average in the postseason. But at home in the postseason, 96.8 save percentage and .96 goals against average. I don't know what it is about playing at home, but Carolina is 6-0 straight up at home. They've won 8 straight games at home, dating all the way back to the regular season. I think that streak's going to end tonight, and that's why I have the Rangers in this game. But I just look at the Canes and what they've been able to do offensively during this series. The issue is you have to score to win games, and the Canes cannot score right now. They're 0-12 on the power play going back to Game 7 against Boston. They've only scored 1.5 goals per game in this series against Igor Shesterkin. And they're only allowing right now 1.75 goals per game if you take out all the empty netters. So these games are going over. They're tight checking. They're low-scoring games. Shesterkin and Raanta have been exceptionally solid. There's great defenses on both sides. I think this game is going to follow the trend again. I like the under 5.5. The under 5.5 is hitting every single game so far this series. Why not take it again? If it ain't broke, guys, don't fix it. So under 5.5. That's one of my best bets for this game. The other one, obviously, we'll get to with our best bet of the game, but let's take it to the late night game. We can see this series end tonight and end in a way that not a lot of people necessarily expected. The Oilers trying to take the series from the Flames, Game 5, back in Calgary. Jared, I know you have a futures bet on the Flames, but Zeno, you're going back to your Zenos period. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I love it when you say that. It's very enticing. I'm fading the over here. Look, in 3 of the 4 games, not only has there been 1 goal scored in the first period, not only have there been 2 goals, there have been only 3 goals scored in the first period of 3 of the 4 games. The only game it wasn't was Game 3. It was a scoreless first period here. I'm getting plus money on the under again. It's like you said, Lauren, if it was a streak, I would probably stay away from it. But since it's not, there's a chance here. And look, and Calgary wants to stay alive. They've got to keep Edmonton scoreless in the first period. They cannot play from behind against this Oilers team, as Jared alluded to before, the way Connor McDavid and the offense are playing. So I'm banking that Calgary will keep their season alive with a win tonight, and they're going to have to do it with defense, and we'll get a first period under.
Zeno's periods, baby. He has a period in both games. Jared, how are you playing this game?
So I think Calgary wins. I think that at home they're gonna do what they need to do to get across the finish line, and of course they're basically do or die, or they are do or die.
Yeah.
I will say that I don't love playing the boosts on FanDuel because there's this like conspiracy theory that they always lose. That conspiracy theory is false. We actually have someone on our staff called Promo Guy that tweets out all of the promos, and plenty of them win. Some of them lose, but some of them win too. It's all about your handicap on where you think the games are going to land. They do have a boost tonight for the Rangers and Flames both to win, and it's boosted up to plus 350. It's a pretty good plus EV bet if you think the Rangers and the Flames are going to win tonight, which I do. So that's probably the only bet I'll make that's involving the Calgary game individualistically. I'll put a half a unit on that boost. But I do think Calgary, man, Edmonton has been really tough. And I think if I do bet Calgary tonight, and I won't other than the boost, the way to come back off of it is to take a little bit of McDavid to win the Conn Smythe. Because if Edmonton does win this series, and let's say the Blues do come back and win, I know that sounds crazy, but
Aaron, don't even put that out there in the atmosphere. To be honest with you, at this point, don't even put that out there.
I know, but I'm just calling it like I see it.
Energy.
When I look at the Oilers as a team, if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, which the odds of that right now are plus 650. Connor McDavid is going to be the Conn Smythe Trophy Award winner. I don't think there's much doubt about that. So you're getting a little more value on Edmonton in that regard. So if you think Edmonton is going to win tonight and close out the series, obviously their futures price is going to decrease, and so is McDavid's price. That's how I would play it from a futures perspective, but no real opinion on the game, on the total at least. I agree with Mark's take on the first period. I think you fade goals later in the series for sure.
The reason that Edmonton is up 3-1, I'm using my lipstick now as like a pointer. The reason that Edmonton is up 3-1 in the series is because of one man and one man only, and that is Connor McDavid. He has been so phenomenal. He like what he's doing is
why I like the Conn Smythe thing.
Unheard of. The Oilers are one win away right now from the first trip to the Western Finals since 2006. They ended that first period of the last game with less than 1/3 of all the shot attempts, but they were still up 3-0. They did have more quality shots though than the Flames. And they won 3 straight over the Flames now. If you're on Calgary's team, you're worried. You want to know why? Yeah. Because your goalie is shaky and you're facing a guy like Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid has 11 points in 4 games against Calgary. He has 25 points in 11 postseason games. He's averaging 2.27 points per game. You want to know the only player in the last 40 years that has done that previously? Take a guess.
Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky. It's wild. That is wild.
Any NHL trivia question, you got a pretty decent chance.
Literally just say Wayne Gretzky and you probably
Lauren,
win.
You have successfully talked me off of that FanDuel boost. I'm not betting. I'm not betting Calgary.
Here's the thing, I'm on the Flames.
We have a future on Calgary. We'll ride that.
I am on the Flames 3-way money line tonight. I am fading Connor McDavid in this game. I'm not necessarily fading Connor McDavid. Not necessarily fading Connor McDavid, but here's the thing. The Flames battled back in Game 4. They had 2 goals 36 seconds apart, then a weird shorthanded goal that I don't even know. I can't even break that down if I tried. The Oilers are not worried, but they're not home free. The Flames are a really good team. Like, you look at Mike Smith. He's 40 years old. He's been outperforming Jacob Markstrom at this point. Markstrom has given up 19 goals in 4 games so far for the Flames this series. He has a 10.1 goal save above expected, 93.1%. Wow, words. 93.1 save percentage Mike Smith has at 40 years old. He only gave up 11 goals in the 7-game first-round series. He is 22, 8, and 7 at the Saddle Dome this year with a 2.17 goals against average. So, for me, if Markstrom elevates his play, the Flames are due. Calgary is dominating at this point in every single metric except for the most important one. 11 goals for, 15 goals against. You have to score more goals to win. You have to score more goals to win. Here's the thing. Calgary has the better team on the man advantage. And if Markstrom can find the form he showed during the regular season and during the first round, the Flames win this game on home ice. We saw similar struggles, say this 5 times fast, saw similar struggles in Shesterkin last round. It is possible to turn it around because you see how Igor Shesterkin's been playing. But what McDavid has been doing right now hasn't been done in 40 years. I think that he's still going to perform tonight. I think that Markstrom's going to come back stronger on home ice. And I like the Flames 3-way money line at plus 100 on home ice. I think the Oilers are going to close out this series. I think they're going to do it in 6 games back in Edmonton in the Battle of Alberta. But I think the Flames have this one, and I'm getting it at even money at plus 100. So, lock that in.
I don't mind it. I hope the Flames win. Our future is looking grim. I'm basically coming off of all of my futures bets because I picked the wrong teams. I should have picked Tampa. I should have picked Rado, Calgary and Florida and Carolina. Calgary, though, they're not completely dead. I think Calgary's got a chance tonight. I hope they win. I'm
Yeah,
rooting for them.
that's why I'm betting them. I'm betting them at even money. That's what I was saying. Like during the first round, Markstrom only gave up 11 goals in 7 games. And he's 22-8-7 in the Saddle Dome this year. He has a 2.17 goals against average. What?
His playoff analytics have been really poor. Like he's a minus goal saved above.
But at home, he's pretty good. So hopefully he'll be able to step up tonight, give his team a little bit of a boost.
The Saddle Dome. Saddle up, baby.
I should have quit when I backed the Maple Leafs to get out of the first round.
The Lightning just...
No, it's okay.
Exact the Maple Leafs.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's
okay,
why
let's
we
get to our
have
best
nice
bets of the day.
to save us from our hockey woes. She has a crown and everything. Can you believe this thing? Look at this thing.
Let's get into our best bets of the day. Before we do, Pickswise.com, guys. What do we got? Pickswise.com, 3-star play of the day. Hit me with it.
Pickswise, I'll be honest, Lauren, you might not like it, and Zeno might not like it either. We've got 2 totals for both of the games tonight, and they're the opposite of what we gave out on the show. So
okay.
I'll let you listen, one of them, someone's going to be right, and someone's going to be wrong. Also, we don't see this too often on the site, but anytime we do see it, I always have to mention it. Martin Pennington has pony picks. Not only does he have pony picks, the name of this horse running in race 5 at Churchill Downs, Little Mambo, elite horse name. Go bet it. Pickswise 3-star. Little Mambo to win race 5 at Churchill.
Do you guys want to hear my horse noise? Ready? Ready? Pretty good, right?
I thought you were going to do like a no. That's what I thought you were going to do.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
This show is going off the rails right now.
Completely off the rails. Lauren's got a crown on. It says happy birthday. It's not her birthday. She's riding down Broadway. Ponies.
Hold on, I put it on the wrong side. Just kidding. There we go.
She stole that from a little kid's birthday party. She just stole it. Lauren was crying and everything.
Listen, the Lauren I know usually forgets her friend's birthday.
I bought it in the 5-year-old section of Party City.
There you go. Good.
And she gave it to her 30-year-old friend.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, so I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first and with your baseball bet before we get into our hockey bet because Jared and I are both on the same side of things.
Okay, we are going to a NRFI tonight between Philadelphia and the Atlanta Braves. Now, Philadelphia's top 10 in first inning scored percentage in Major League Baseball. However, the Braves top 5 at home this year in opponent first inning score percentage, allowing opponents just to score 16% of the time. I don't have to worry about the Braves offensively. They strike out a ton. And the Phillies have Aaron Nola on the mound, who has only given up a first inning run once this year. Same goes for Kyle Wright, who's only been touched up once in the first inning this year. Plus, Kyle Wright, batting average against at home, hitters are hitting 179 against him this year. Nobody has scored a first inning run in the first 3 games of this series. That continues tonight. I'm getting a good price at minus 118. Give me a NRFI between Philly and Atlanta.
No runs, baby. No run first inning. NRFI. Okay, Jared, you go first. I'll back you up. Rangers, money line, we're both on it tonight. LFG.
Back me up, baby. Zeno's gotten some movement, too, because I was looking for that NRFI. It's like minus 130 now at FanDuel. I still see a minus 120 at Caesars, though, if you want to scoop that up. And I will be tailing you tonight because I was looking at that NRFI, and it just missed my card. But Phillies, I think they were on the streak list, 5 straight. No run, first inning. So Philly's offense been struggling a little bit, too, in the first. All right, Rangers plus 140. Bet 365 is the spot I got this price at. Hey, Carolina 6-0 at home in the playoffs, right? Yeah, so they're going to win tonight. It's easy. Easy bet. Just bet the home team in the playoffs because they won every game in this series. Yeah, not so fast, my friend. This is the Igor Shesterkin game, Lauren. We have discussed this at length a lot during the regular season. We don't get Igor at this kind of a price very often. I'd be willing to bet we did not get him at any point during the regular season at plus 140 on the money line. And to me, it feels like this is the game where the trend breaks. The home team dominance finally breaks because we've seen Shesterkin play a lot better of late. Just 2 goals in 2 games at MSG. 73 saves. He's only allowed 5 goals in the entire series. And then you mentioned Carolina struggling on the power play. yes, they're struggling on the power play, but give credit to the Rangers, who are a perfect 9 for 9 on the PK in the series and have been really good on the penalty kill throughout the entire postseason, minus a couple of blips against the Penguins. Carolina has struggled, too, to score on the power play. That's not one of their strong suits this season. And I think that edge certainly helps because Carolina's going to get a couple calls at home tonight, and the Rangers are going to have to kill the penalty. And Igor, again, is the crux of this handicap. I think the Rangers have enough offensively to get a goal late from a clutch guy from a Mika or a Kreider coming up big. But really, the crux of this handicap is centered around Igor Shesterkin, who is finally starting to look like the Vezina Trophy winner. And I do not think we are going to get a price better than this, probably for the rest of this series. So plus 140, I'll take the Rangers on the money line and hope that this is the night that the home streak finally ends.
Yeah, I mean, the Canes have only scored 1.5 goals per game against Igor Shesterkin when you average it all out. And here's another thing for me, too, is with the Rangers, you're getting production from people you wouldn't, not that you wouldn't expect, but, it's not a guy like Artemi Panarin or Mika Zibanejad, who Zibanejad has been pretty good, but Adam Fox, he's 4-9-13 in the postseason. Andrew Kopp, 10 points. 5 goals in postseason play. 14 different Rangers players has scored in the postseason, which leads all NHL teams right now. They're getting production from everyone and everywhere. And I don't necessarily expect New York to be in control of the pace, but I think they're going to be able to stick right with it. They have growing confidence. They've made a business at this point out of comebacks. The second round against the Canes seems like a really good spot. Igor Shesterkin's been lights out. He's only allowed 5 total goals on 122 shots through the first 4 games of the series. It's wild. On the roads, on the road, the Canes have not been really good. At home, that's the one thing that worries me. They have a plus 15 goal differential and a 1.17 goals against average at home. The issue is, again, like I was saying with the Oilers, to win, you have to score. The Canes cannot score. 0-12 on the power play going back to Game 7 against Boston, only scoring 1.5 goals per game against Shesterkin. Their defense is solid. They've allowed 31 high danger scoring chances, though, while generating 43, so that's good for them. But these games are coming down to a bounce here or a bounce there. And I think at this point, the Rangers have been working hard enough to get that puck luck on their side. And Igor Shesterkin, I'm not going to go against him when he's playing the way he is. This is when the streak ends. Carolina's 6-0 streak at home during the postseason is now going to be 6-1, and the Rangers are going to go back Game 6 to MSG, looking to close out the series. So looking at Rangers money line plus 132. Jared, you got it at a little better price at plus 140, so you can shop around. But the Rangers, baby, let's go.
I'm looking right now. Bet365 still has plus 140 available, so you can get that price right now. And I'll take it a step further. If the Rangers win this game tonight, so I'm investing 1 unit to make 1.4, which means I'll get 2.4 units back if this bet hits. If they win tonight, we're taking all 2.4 of those units and we're rolling it over to Rangers money line in Game 6. Mark my words right now. Because it's a better price than I think Rangers in 6 would have been plus 340. I did the math last night. You get a better payout if you do the rollover. We've talked about the rollovers before. In this situation, if you hit the Rangers in 6, we're going to roll it over in a Game 6. But let's get the win tonight first. Roll over the money, and now we're rolling out. Roll out of the show. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to hang out with us today. Happy Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for Friday. For Mark Zinno, Jared Smith, I'm Lauren Jabbar. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Best of luck.